Welcome to Change Friends. Surprising as it appears, but how can somebody welcome you to change? Because can we actually bring other people to change? Well, not really, but we can certainly bring them to a point where they decide to change or to not to change. In this episode of Change, we would want to look at those aspects where people make these choices, consciously or unconsciously. We have seen a change in the trend of how people think in the world today. We have seen both the negative aspects of it, we have seen the positive ones as well. But there is something which has brought us to a new realm. It is a change of our views, how we view the world. Today we have someone with us who has experienced these changes in her own life and also brought people to those junctions where people have made those choices of changing or not changing. To advise us today, we have Rajyogini Brahma Kumaris Sister Usha with us. Didi, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
When I talk about changes in the views, many times people say that just change your viewpoint. Just put yourself in other person's shoes. And you would see a lot more. You would see better, is what many people would say. But my question is, what happens if the other person's shoe does not fit you?
Definitely. Because when we say just put yourself in the other person's shoe or change your viewpoint, means change the way you think. And we are accustomed to thinking in particular direction only. We have been brought up in that manner, that's why we are thinking in that way. So now there should be a shift in our thinking as well. Think in a holistic way. Then the other person's shoe will also fit you.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we think in a holistic manner, means we are thinking from all corners, from the spiritual aspect, from the physical aspect, from the social aspect, from the professional aspect. So all the corners are covered. And that's when we put ourselves in their shoes. Because when a person does something, he is not just an individual, but because he is viewing his life, maybe if I do this, my professional field will be affected, or my social field will be affected, or my family field will be affected. So he is trying to balance all that. And then when we tell him to change, somewhere he feels as if maybe it's not going to be comfortable for him. That's why he will tell us, you put yourself in my shoes and then you will understand. So when the person was advising, he is maybe thinking from one aspect. And that's why he is advising him in that manner. But he is not realizing that he has to balance the other three also, not just one. And when he is looking from all the sides, that's when he feels maybe my capacity is not that much that I'll be able to do it. So definitely thinking in a holistic manner. This is what today's time is demanding from us. That is where we need to change as well. We need to change our viewpoint, not just one direction, but we have to take all the direction in consideration and then give an advice as well.
When you talk about the word holistic, I think these are new terminologies. These have become popular. Like yoga has become popular, holistic has become popular, meditation has become popular, pranayama has become popular.
Quantum approach.
Quantum approach.
Yeah.
People also talk about inner beauty. These are things that was quite unheard of in the past, let's say 15, 20 years ago. People did not use these terminologies at all.
Yeah.
And today, inclusive development, holistic approach, all of these things have become part of everything. It's become part of medicine, it has become part of sports, it has become even part of corporate terminologies. When today people when they talk about employee development, they talk about inclusive development, holistic, all of these things that come into the diction today. One of the things that has also changed is spirituality. Many people, when 20 years ago people said that spirituality, people thought that, he goes to church, or maybe he goes to a mosque or prays, or he fasts and he follows religious things.
Religious, yeah.
That is what spirituality meant 20 years ago, and today that definition has changed. I don't know if this change is good or bad, but like all changes, it is a change that we have to accept.
Yes, it is a good change, I feel, because religion binded us somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Or it brought us down to, like, this is my religion, this is your religion, or my religion says this and your religion says that. But when we become spiritual, then we go beyond those boundaries, and spirituality means that which is connected with the spirit. So it's not just my spirit, but it is the spirit of others also. In other terms, I would say spirit means connected to motivation as well. So which will motivate people to moving forward or being in a broader context and seeing things with a broader viewpoint. So it is just like taking the bird's view when I uplift myself. So spirituality means uplifting yourself and taking the bird's view from the top. You see a larger portion. And then we can see things as they are. So being spiritual is very good in today's world. It is considered very good because that means people have raised their consciousness level from the ground and gone beyond.
When you say that people have really raised their consciousness, I have a negative aspect to it. As much as I believe that it is true, but I also see the other side of the story. Spirituality has become fashionable. There's so many gurus, so many spiritual organizations, foundations, ashrams and courses and crash courses on spirituality, mind management. As much as chic as they appear, as attractive as they appear, but have they brought in a real change in a person? Because as we know that we live in a time where we like to flaunt everything around. Can spirituality be flaunted as well is a question. No, it is really a concern, because when you look at your friends who are young, and just because somebody is going to some place, some ashram, some retreat, and he went to Vipassana, I went to meditation, he went to some ashram in Himalayas and he spent a weekend retreat there, he did silence retreat here. What are we doing really is a question. As much as we appreciate each other that, oh yes, you are doing something nice. But when you said about uplifting yourself, your consciousness above, have we done that, or are we just doing it for the sake
I would
of showing?
say that initially when like youngsters like you who would definitely like to go for a change, they may be flaunting, just for a change. Okay, let's see. Let's taste this also, how it seems, whether it is my plate or not, like that. But as gradually you go into the depths of it, then the real change starts from within. Till then, it is just superficial, definitely. But once a person becomes sincere and realizes certain things in spirituality also, and how it can bring a change in his lifestyle, or how it can help him, how meditation can help him really bring some or work on some deep-rooted sanskars which are really troubling us inside, where a person feels like, some people feel that I have only one weakness, anger is my only weakness, that's all. You know, so the person feels that anger is troubling him, has spoiled so many of his relationships, but he did not have an answer. But once, while doing meditation, when he gets into that realization, maybe I can get help from this place, and he starts sincere efforts in it, or sincerely studies spirituality, then definitely, gradually, he understands himself, because spirituality is something knowing and understanding about the self. And when I start knowing and understanding about my real self, and then realization, when I reach to that stage of self-realization, that is when the actual change would start. Till then, yes.
You're just trying it out.
Yeah.
You've been to corporates. Now, nowadays in corporates also, for employee management and for employee development and employee engagement and whatever name you would want to call it, there are a lot of programs that are being run. And I also know that you have been invited many a time to several programs like this, to give lectures on team building, on anger management, like you said, and positive attitude, and a lot of these things, like social skills, and these are things that are in the air. You've seen people, you've met people, you have talked to them, and you have given something to them, but at the same time you had a first-hand experience of how people take it. What is your experience of it?
I have always felt, initially, we discussed in the last episode also, that about women, so first they would feel a woman, and that also in a white dress. What is she going to actually tell us? How is she that she will help us? So first, initially, when I would start the program, like everybody would be, this is not for me, this is not for me.
Yes.
But then gradually, they
would loosen up.
Yeah, they'll loosen up. And then when we take them into games and some exercises, then they really understand that this is something which we never thought about. And this is somewhere we can get our answers from. So that's when, by the third day, or by the third session, I would say, people will become quite comfortable. The first session, it would be a little bit difficult. It's like breaking the nuts. And then you find that gradually, after the first break, the second break, then we find that yes, they are coming closer. And then finally, by the end of the day, or the fourth session or fifth session, we find they are like, yes, we never thought about this. So spirituality is also science. Spirituality is not, as you said, not connected to religion, but it's not just connected with the attitudes only. It is a science. And science about the self. Not the physical aspect, but the metaphysics. And when we call the metaphysics, there are so many questions unanswered by the scientific world also. This is beyond our understanding. So that is where spirituality deals. So it is said, where science ends, from there spiritual science begins.
True.
So it is a science. And so in today's world where people are intelligent, they would like to understand the metaphysics as well. So when they start understanding the metaphysics of the self, of the behavior, of the mind, the workings of the mind and all this, that's when it is like another world opened up to them to understand, explore.
All this time we were busy with the matter. And now we are asking the question, what is the matter? Now we are really thinking about what really matters to us.
Yes.
And it is a big shift, it's a big change. And whether people flaunt it or do whatever with it, but at least it is somewhere, it is bringing them to some benefit at least. They have come to a point whether they do it for the sake of doing it, but there are untold benefits. You do it knowingly or unknowingly, the benefits would come to you.
Yeah.
Many years ago, if you think about it, nobody would think of a spiritual magazine.
Yeah.
And today it is a reality. Like there's so many spiritual publications. I think it's a huge shift from where we were a few years ago to
Definitely.
where we are today.
Yeah.
In spite of we saying that, okay, the internet has done this, it has bombarded with you with this information, that, and all the changes that it has brought in, but at the same time, it has also put some of us into a point. Many of them have come to a realization that at a point you would reach a point of saturation where you don't know. You feel. I would give you a beautiful anecdote. One of my friends was saying this, that on a Sunday morning I would wake up, I would have my breakfast, and I would sit in front of the computer, open a browser, and think, what do I want to do now? Because at the touch of the button, you can see whatever you want, you can do whatever you want, you can access that information, but now you're blank, you don't know what to do.
They want something else, but they don't know where to go.
Yes.
But once they get into this spiritual interest also, initially maybe there may be a hesitance. Well, this is not for me. But then gradually, if they understand, I've seen many youngsters today, they are turning spiritual because of the saturation which they have experienced through internet. Now they feel something which is really going to make us like not just robots. With all the bombardment of the information, they were just like robots. They lost the feelings. They lost as if the touch. So now when they come to spiritual, it brings life to them. And then they find that yes, this is bringing like enjoyment. Before there was enjoyment, but now because of the saturation, they are now turning away from it. And so many youngsters are becoming spiritual.
So when you talk about many youngsters coming to spirituality, there are other people who, at one point of time, people would say that when somebody would say that, oh, I'm learning meditation and I'm doing this and I'm trying to practice yoga and stuff, and I'm a little spiritual, I'm listening to discourses from this person. Many people would say, no, this is not for you. This is for the older people. And now that has changed.
Yes.
Now, even some people say that you catch them young.
Yeah.
Children must start doing this.
Yes. Now, spirituality has entered to that level that pregnant women, they especially go for these courses where the child from today, so that he does not land up in depression or he is not weak in his
mental
strength. So the mothers, they are educating their child in the womb with spiritual lessons. There are many sites who have opened up where from today only the pregnant women are educating their the coming baby into spirituality. And this is something very astonishing. In fact, in Brahma Kumaris also, some of our doctors who are connected with gynecology, they have started a site, especially Divine Garb Sanskars. And they have this site, www.divine garb sanskar, where pregnant women, they come and they want children with values. They do not want children who are hyper. So from today only, they do meditation, they give such positive thoughts, they calm down the child from today only. And when the children are born, they say this child is unique.
Yes.
So this is something which is there is a great shift. We can see that.
So not only just the perspectives, the point of views, there is a change at the level of consciousness and how we are thinking, how we are taking our approach towards life.
Yes.
How we want our younger generation to be, how we want our children to be. Not only just us, but also people around us and our family members.
Everybody feels now we should have a better world. Our children should have a better world. And that is why it is our duty to make them full of values so that they grow up and they create such a world. You know. So this is such a big change.
For a change of this sort, which we see it as happening, you know, there might be some of our friends who would be watching TV right now. They would also want to bring about a change like this in their lives.
Yeah.
And they say, like, let's say, I would also want to experiment with spirituality. Let's say I would also want to give it a shot. Not that whether it is my cup of tea or not is altogether a different story, but I would want to take a shot of it. Let's see, let me try. What is your piece of advice for them?
Yeah, I would say they can try definitely. And the moment they'll start understanding themselves in a better way, things will change definitely. That is guaranteed. Because I started with that experiment basis. Okay, let me try. I did not come intentionally to Brahma Kumaris for a spiritual. I thought this is not for me. But then gradually, when I tried and I experimented and I realized this can do wonders. And it is like many miraculous experiences you can get.
Amazing as I listen to these things, because, you know, there's so many people who have different views of what spiritual organization to go to, which one to follow. Because as much as people are confused with religions, and when they see spirituality is different from it, where it does not bind you to anything, it gives you a sense of liberation and gives you a freedom to do whatever you want to do, people naturally tend to be attracted to it, and no doubt it is giving benefits to you. But when there is a confusion about it, it's the last question that I want to ask for today. Which one to start with? What to do? Where do I begin? Sometimes people think that, meditation, I don't think so. Meditation is something that I can learn so quickly, but I want something which gives us quick benefits also. So even though it is true that we have turned spiritual, but we are also in the age of fast age spirituality where we want quick results with it. So what do you think?
Well, I feel that with spirituality, it is not like you can get immediate or fast results, but definitely we have to begin with patience. Patience, when that comes, then gradually we find that we get the experiences.
So slowly things would change for a person.
Yeah, definitely. In order to get experiences, I would say experiment.
Yes.
Experiment and you get experiences. When a student in a laboratory also, when he does experiments, he gets an experience. Without experimenting, so which suits my nature, but I would advise, don't try to get all the things and get into a confused stage. Whichever
do not try
you follow,
too many things at a time.
Yeah, whichever you follow it sincerely and do practice it, and do one thing at a time. Have patience. I learned this also, and then finally all the meditation is getting confused because everyone has their own road. You know, you have to travel that road. You have to walk on it.
There are benefits that comes to you from practicing spirituality, but it would take time. Initially, they would experience something, but to experience something deeper, experimentation is the key. Thank you very much, Didi, for sharing those insights again. Spirituality, as much as it is fashionable, as much as it is a trend, as much as we want to be spiritual people and to be called and labeled about it, what we must understand is it is a deeper process. It does not require one to adhere to something, but it certainly requires a commitment of practicing it every day. Whatever you choose a path, walk along it, and it would bring you untold benefits. Not only for others, but for people who are around you, they would certainly make a note of it. All changes that are good are good. There are some changes that, even though might not appear good to you, might bring goodness later with it. That's all on this episode of Change. We'll see you again. Till then, keep changing.
हमारे YouTube चैनल गॉडलीवुड स्टूडियो को सब्सक्राइब करें और साथ ही हर नए वीडियो के अपडेट के लिए बेल आइकन को क्लिक करें।